Hello, Coppell High School band family and friends. This is Mr. Miller. Just wanted to spend a few moments talking with you about an upcoming trip opportunity for our students in June of 2018 with the Lone Star Ambassadors. Several years ago, a few of us got involved with Lone Star Ambassadors. I know that Middle School West had several students on this trip just a couple of summers ago. And this is a trip that embarks every summer. It's a musical concert tour for students from the Dallas-Fort Worth area. And you'll see as I get to the end of the presentation that this trip often combines us with several students from different campuses and really exemplary band programs around the Dallas-Fort Worth area. And allows us an opportunity to tour Europe for a few weeks. I've had the opportunity to go on the trip before, and it's really a wonderful experience. And so I wanted to give you a little background and then invite you to the informational meeting that's coming up in May. The trip is 16 days long. The dates currently are booked June 9th through the 24th of 2018. And again, the group is the Lone Star Ambassadors of Music, and it's sponsored by a company called Voyagers International that you'll hear Mr. and Mrs. Centera talk about this when they host the meeting with us, but a company that's been in business for a very long time and does a wonderful job of organizing safe and enjoyable trips for our students. On June the 9th, we'll fly from Dallas-Fort Worth to London. We generally meet at Grapevine Mills and take a charter bus over to DFW. That gives all the parents a chance to say goodbye and not have to deal with all the airport chaos. We'll get them checked on the flight. We usually have, sometimes we get to fly straight through, sometimes we have a connection. All depends going into London Heathrow. On June the 10th, we arrive there. Everybody's a little bit tired and a little bit jet-lagged. We spend some time at Windsor Castle just kind of checking things out, and we go on a nice walk that evening over to St. Paul's Cathedral from our hotel, which our hotel is in the City of London, from our hotel over across Millennium Bridge, see the Globe Theatre and everything, and kind of come back. Again, we're just trying to acclimate our students to the time zone change, so for them, they're usually a little bit groggy, but they kind of can do all of that and get set for the next day. On June the 11th, we do the standard London sightseeing thing, and I know for many of our students who did the London trip just a couple of years ago, many of these are sites they've seen, but a great chance to visit again. We'll start with visiting and sometimes the order changes on this, but generally speaking, we'll hit the Tower of London. We'll spend some time at Westminster and Big Ben. The last time I was there, we were able to go to Evensong in Westminster and hear a choir concert in there, and then visit Buckingham Palace. Each year, we're fortunate to have local guides, individuals who live in London who serve as the guides for Voyagers International and for all the groups from different states that they're sending through each summer. And so they'll customize when we go to which places at which times to minimize crowds and traffic and make sure it's an enjoyable experience. And of course, the weather, especially in London, can always throw things off just a little bit. On June the 12th, we'll visit the British Museum. Generally do that in the morning, and we'll do a little shopping expedition at Piccadilly Circus. In addition to that, we'll perform a concert usually this day in a nice little park in London, and have usually a great crowd that comes out. A few hundred people come out and listen and cheer on the group and dance and have fun, and it's a wonderful atmosphere to get to perform for a fairly large group of people, many of which are business people who are having lunch, and some are just senior citizens who live in the area who enjoy kind of interacting with our students and getting to see them perform. So that'll be what that day looks like. Additionally, it's either on June the 11th or June the 12th. We'll generally take them to see a show, to see a Broadway-style show in London's West End. So another cool opportunity for them. They get to pick which show. There's usually 4 or 5 to choose from. After we're finished in London, we're going to make our way to Paris. We're going to drive to Dover and then take the ferry across, which if you've never done that, it's a really cool experience. Take the ferry across into France, into Calais, and we'll arrive in Paris sometime in the evening. There'll be a little bit of time to kind of check things out in Paris and see the city, and we'll have a nice dinner at a little Parisian restaurant, and then head back to the hotel for the evening. So that 13th is really a travel day, but a neat opportunity to see a lot of the north of France as we're coming down into Paris. On the 14th, we have the opportunity to see the Eiffel Tower and Notre Dame. We in the past have climbed all the way up to the top of the Eiffel Tower for the students who are brave enough to do that with us, and taken a nice tour around Notre Dame and the gardens behind it, and it's a great opportunity to see all of those things. On the 15th, we'll usually head up to Montmartre, to the little kind of artists area in Montmartre, climb the steps of Sacré-Cœur and check out the church and the cathedral there, and just kind of wander those streets. And it's a neat opportunity to really kind of see the Paris skyline from up above the city. We'll also do, usually this day, we'll do the Louvre as well, and we'll get to spend several hours there just kind of wandering. It's never going to be enough time. I think it would take a full week to see everything in the Louvre, but you can at least get to see a good bit and some really cool things. Certainly check out the Mona Lisa and a couple of other exciting things there. After we do 3 days in Paris, we head over to Switzerland, and I'll say that the trip changes very drastically as you come out of the busy cities of London and Paris into Switzerland, and we drive along Lake Geneva and we head up to this little mountain village called Crans-Montana. You'll notice that all of the kind of fast pace of that first week of the trip that just blew right by, these next several days in Switzerland and in Austria are much, much slower. And really, a lot of students aren't sure about this part of the trip and come away from it saying that Switzerland was their absolute favorite place. And so we'll settle in Crans-Montana. They have a beautiful little tent there that the village sets up for all the students who are coming through. They have fondue parties for us. They all come to our concerts. There's a little convent there, and a bunch of nuns will come and greet us. It's a really neat experience to be in this part of Switzerland in the summer. We have a concert day in Crans-Montana, but we'll also get to take a visit up to the Matterhorn and see the mountain at close range. You can't climb all the way up, but you can get pretty close to. We'll hang out along Lake Geneva. The Castle of Chillon, which is pictured there, we'll take a tour of the castle, and then you walk along Lake Geneva, and of course Evian, France, is on the other side of Lake Geneva, but you'll walk along the Swiss end of Lake Geneva all the way to Montreux. It's probably about a 45-minute walk. It's absolutely breathtaking, and we'll hang out in Montreux and have some fun there, check some things. If you're into the jazz scene, certainly Montreux has the world-famous Montreux Jazz Festival, which is usually going on right around this time. On the 18th, we'll stay kind of along the river a little bit, and I pictured the Rhone there. We'll take a little journey along the Rhone and go up to Zermatt. And Zermatt is a German-speaking village, also in Switzerland, that has a little train that runs you really close to the top of the Matterhorn, but it is one of the neatest cities that you will ever see in your life. There's no cars there. It's you can only get there by this little mountain train. It is a truly unique experience to get to see an old city like that way up in the mountains. On the 19th, we'll begin our trek across to Austria. We'll stop for lunch we always say that we visit about 7 countries on this trip. We stop in the tiny country of Liechtenstein. I think it's like the second smallest country in the world. We have lunch there and hang out for just a little while. The students all like to get their passports stamped. And then we'll head on to Austria and arrive in Austria. And again, this part of the trip, instead of staying at larger metropolitan hotels like we saw in London and in Paris, we get to these, and these are like little very kind of family-run bed and breakfast. Each bus kind of has its own hotel, so if we're on the red bus, then the red bus might stay in just one hotel, and they have a husband and wife that run it with their children, and they cook all of the meals and prepare everything, and it's a really amazing and very unique experience. In Austria, we do put on a concert there in the right-hand picture in Seefeld. It's a former Olympic village. It's a really beautiful area. You can see mountains just ring the whole village. We go and visit Innsbruck, which is a fascinating city. I pictured the gold roof there and kind of looks almost like Disney World. It's so picturesque and just so gorgeous. Every little archway is decorated and painted. And again, one of those where our students going into it weren't sure what to expect and ended up talking about Innsbruck and about Seefeld in Austria and Switzerland too, just more than anything else. The concert in Austria is wonderful. We have tons and tons of people. Probably, I would bet we had 400 people, 500 people at the concert that we put on there this past summer. And it's just everyone from the town kind of comes out to see what's going on, and it's a really wonderful time. From Austria, we take a very short bus ride. It's about 3.5 hours through the Dolomites, maybe 4 hours, and you're in the very northern tip of Italy, and you're in Venice. And we'll drop off in Venice and take the ferry to Venice, and from there we can visit St. Mark's Cathedral, San Marco. You can see the Rialto Bridge. You can ride a gondola with your friends if you'd like, but it's a wonderful day. in Venice. That's, I think, probably my favorite day of the trip. It's fast paced, but Venice is such a wonderful and timeless city, and something great for our students to have the opportunity to see. We go back to Austria that evening. It's a pretty late night bus ride, and we get home around probably 11:30, 10:30 or 11. And the next morning we wake up and drive to Germany. It's about a 3-4 hour drive. And the first place that we take our students is to Dachau, to the concentration camp. It's a very moving experience to see that firsthand, and I think something that every student should have the opportunity in their life to see and to further understand. We leave Dachau, have lunch, and then travel over to Rothenburg, Germany, which is this medieval walled city that is beyond words, just one of the nicest places. And there are tons of little things to do. I mean, the town is really built around this time of year, our students coming to visit. And we'll spend the night there inside the walled city in a hotel. We'll perform a concert for everybody there. The next day, there's a huge Christmas market there. It's one of the largest Christmas markets in the world, and it's open year-round. And you can just kind of wander the streets, and it's a very safe place and just a really gorgeous little town to go visit. From there, we'll fly out of Frankfurt, Germany, and back to Dallas again about 16 days later after we started our journey. As far as the trip goes, I know that as I get onto this next slide, we're going to have an informational meeting on Thursday, May the 4th at 6:30 in the CHS Band Hall. I did want to mention as far as as what's included, the trip includes your flight there, 2 meals a day are included, and I'll say a lot of our students are really resourceful about how they do this, but they'll find, and I'll certainly help them along this route, but we'll find little co-ops and neat places to eat rather than sitting in a traditional European restaurant, which is often like a 90-minute long experience. Just grabbing some quick food and seeing as much as we can is really an enjoyable time. The other thing I think that's really special about the trip is that we're not just there to sightsee, but we're putting on concerts, and we're having that opportunity to interact. Certainly, when you go there as as I have as a tourist, it's always interesting and fun. But interacting is so important, and I think too for our students, being around their friends. When we've gone as a family, it's certainly enjoyable. But after a few days, everybody's ready to, take a little break. I think the advantage of doing it this way is that we have that opportunity for our students to be around their friends, and certainly we encourage parents to come. It's not necessarily that there's a need for chaperones, and I know that Mr. and Mrs. Centera will address this when they talk through it in the information meeting. But it's not about that. It's about you coming in and enjoying some time with your child, and we take care as a staff of chaperoning any students from Capella who choose to go, and we'll make sure that we're at about a 1-to-8 ratio of staff members with our students to watch them throughout the trip. If for some reason you're looking at the date of Thursday, May the 4th, and that doesn't work in your calendar, I wanted to provide you, there are several other high schools that participate, and I do want you to understand that this is not a CHS-only trip. This is a trip of high schools across North Texas, and so I just put on my list some of the high schools that are involved in this from across the Metroplex. So if any of those dates work for you better than the meeting date, it's the same hosts doing the same meeting, so you could go to any of those if you wanted to and get all the information and have all of your questions answered. So once again, we hope that we'll see you on Thursday, May the 4th at 6:30 p.m. in the Coppell High School Band Hall. And if you have any questions before then, please feel free to call or email me. Thanks.